Okay, let's start with Chapter 10, which deals with the nervous system. And the nervous system interprets and responds to information. It detects changes, makes decisions, stimulates muscles and glands to respond, helps to maintain homeostasis. Neural tissue itself contains two different kinds of cells, at least two different kinds of cells, two major kinds of cells. First is neurons. Those are the ones that react to change, the ones we'll spend most of our time talking about. They send nerve impulses to and from, and they're involved in communicating with one another and communicating what we know as the commands to do the things we do. The cells that support them, because those are very, very delicate cells, are called neuroglia. They are going to surround and support. They help to nourish the neuron. They help to keep the environment that the neuron is in at an even tighter range of tolerance than plasma, for example. And they help to maintain the blood-brain barrier within the central nervous system. So the nervous system is divided into two different systems, the central nervous system, or the CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, or the PNS. The central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is the cranial nerves coming off the brain and the spinal nerves coming off the spine, and they connect the central nervous system to the rest of the body, bringing information in as well as delivering information. The nervous system, again, divided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system has a sensory division that carries information to the central nervous system, and a motor division that takes information from the central nervous system and delivers it to the target organs. There are two different parts to that motor division, a somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is connected to skeletal muscle, while the autonomic nervous system is connected to smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and glands. Migraines. Signs of migraines include pounding head, nausea, and aura, shimmering images in a visual field, light or sound sensitivity. There are some environmental triggers: bright lights, certain foods, lack of sleep, stress, high altitude, stormy weather, excess caffeine, excess alcohol. There are hormonal triggers in women, and migraines often occur just before menstruation. They can last from 4 to 72 hours. There's a period of excitation followed by unresponsiveness, particular neurons that stimulate the production of brain sensations in areas at the base of the brain. And a good first approach to living with a migraine is to identify the triggers. By avoiding triggers, you can reduce the frequency of attacks. There are also drugs called triptans that might halt a migraine attack. Some of them constrict more blood vessels than others, so they can have a potential risk. Transcranial magnetic stimulation has also been shown to work for acute and chronic migraines to a certain degree. There are treatments to lower the frequency of chronic migraine attacks, which include injections of Botox and a drug that binds to neurotransmitters that causes the dilation and inflammation of blood vessels that are associated with a migraine. And there are several drugs that have been repurposed to decrease the number of migraines, including some antidepressants, anticonvulsants, and anti-high blood pressure drugs. Those are calcium channel blockers and beta blockers. The function of the nervous system, the sensory function, again, receives information from outside the body and inside the body, sends it to the central nervous system. Those sensory receptors gather information by detecting changes. Then there is an integrative function. This is kind of a black box. We are learning more and more about it as we go. But how do you take that sensory information in total and convert it to a good response is not as clear as we would like to present it being. That's the nervous system coordinating sensory information, creating things like sensations, memories, and thoughts. That nervous system then makes the decisions on what the body's response to sensory information should be. So we've got a sensory function, an integrative function, and then we need a motor function. How do we act upon those decisions that we made? The impulses would be carried to effector organs, either skeletal muscle or glands, or smooth muscles for that matter. And the peripheral motor system is divided into somatic nervous system, which transmits voluntary instructions to our muscles, and the autonomic nervous system, which transmits involuntary instructions from the central nervous system to smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands. The autonomic nervous system takes care of things that you want to take care of automatically. And I will stop there for this section.